Hi, my name is Amelia Anderson, and I'm currently a student in the Occupational Therapy Assistant program at Bryant and Stratton College in Wauwatosa, Wisconsin. I've created an educational video on money management. The population that this would best serve is adults with varying cognitive deficits. A few examples of this could be Down syndrome or autism. This video also would be appropriate for older adults that may be struggling with financial stability or who need a more structured financial budget. Some safety concerns before getting into the video is that if the individual does have decreased cognition, this video may be challenging and additional assistance may be needed. I'm going to encourage that the individual has someone to watch the video with and work through each step, just in case they do need that extra assistance. This could be a caregiver or a healthcare provider or even a family member, but just in case they do need that extra help. Also, about a 4th grade reading level is required to participate in the video. There's just some basic math calculations that need to be done, and reading and writing as well. Please keep in mind that the video is intended for individuals who are still managing their own finances or who do so with minimal assistance, as well as for individuals that are on track to potentially manage their own finances someday. The supplies that are needed for the video are either a journal and a pencil or a pen, or if the individual utilizing the video has access to a computer, that would work as well. There's just some documents that need to be created that can be done either paper or electronic, depending on the accessibility and user preference, but it's just important that the user is able to come back and reference these documents throughout the video, as well as essentially day to day and month to month. Additionally, a calculator may be needed for some basic math calculations. Lastly, we would appreciate your feedback regarding implementation of this video. Please take a few minutes at the end to complete a brief survey using the link provided. Also, feel free to pause the video right now and gather all the supplies required prior to starting. To begin this video, I'd like whoever is watching to ask yourself a few questions in your head. Feel free to pause the video after each question to discuss with the person helping. 1. What are my money habits? 2. Do I need to change any of my money habits to save for something? 3. Am I ready to develop a financial budget? These are 3 quick questions to casually identify if anybody watching the video is ready to develop a financial budget, or if they even need to. First, I'd like to explain to you guys the difference between wants and needs. These are 2 very important terms when starting to manage money or creating financial budgets. Wants are things that someone doesn't necessarily need to survive, things that someone could live without but would like to have. Examples of this could be flowers, a new water bottle, or even a piece of candy. These are things that someone doesn't necessarily need, but they want. A need is something that anybody needs to survive, things like food and shelter. So I'm going to encourage anyone watching this video to write down the definition between wants and needs. So feel free to pause the video, write that down, and discuss these terms with the person helping. It's important to understand the difference between these 2 terms before moving forward. Now that I've explained the difference between wants and needs, I'd like anyone watching the video to create a list of their own wants and needs. You can include as many wants and needs as you'd like. This will be a good way to determine which things in your life are wants and which things are needs. I've included an example of how to do so. Please pause the video and go ahead and create that list. So now that we've written down those wants and needs, I'd like to talk through anyone that's watching's current financial situation and how they're managing money. I have a list of questions to fill out. Here is a list of the questions I'd like anyone watching to answer. Select Y for yes or select N for no. Please write down the answer as I read them, or pause the video and answer the questions while discussing with the person helping. 1. I have a spending plan or budget. 2. I track my spending every month. 3. I pay my bills on time before the due date. 4. I have money saved in the bank. 5. I pay my credit card balance in full every month. 6. I know the total amounts of any debts that I have. 7. I have seen my credit report. 8. I put money in my savings every month. 9. I could pay for an unexpected expense today if I had to. An unexpected expense could be something like a medical bill, say if you broke a bone, or if a pet needed to go to the vet, typically something more than $500. If anyone watching answered no to one or more of the questions, it may be time to start seriously developing a financial budget. And if so, this is the right place to help. This video will show how to create a monthly financial budget. A budget is a plan for saving and spending. It's the most important tool for controlling finances. To make a budget, income must be known, which is essentially how much money is coming in. Expenses, or whatever money is being spent on, also has to be known. These two things together will help create a budget. The first step is going to be to create a monthly income log. There are two different types of income anyone can earn. The first is called earned income, which comes from jobs and comes in the form of a salary or a wage where one could be paid weekly, bi-weekly, monthly. The second type of income is earned income, which doesn't come from a job. This can be supplemental security income, Social Security disability insurance, veterans benefits, workman's comp, and other different types of unearned income. Now I'll need everyone to grab their journal and pen or pencil or a computer so we can track income. Now that I've explained the difference between the two types of income, we will create a monthly income log. At the top, please write whatever month it is. For this example, it's the month of May, as well as write monthly income. So we have May monthly income at the top. Next, underneath that, write item description, and then write amount across from that. Then list enough numbers to include all of your different income. In this example, I have 5 numbers written. So that means I would have 5 different types of income. Please write a description of whatever the income might be. For example, if someone worked at McDonald's, for their description, they would write McDonald's paycheck. Then, next to the description, write the total amount of that specific income for the month. At the bottom, write total monthly income, and then add up the total of all of your incomes and write that number. Please pause the video and create this income log. Now that we've logged income, let's organize what money is being spent on. Expenses can be paid with cash, credit card, and our bills as well. Essentially anything that's being bought. It's okay to make guesses on things that are expenses for now, but anyone watching this video will want to start saving any receipts and writing down things that cash is being spent on in the future. We're going to start with organizing these cash expenses. Now we will create a monthly cash expenses log. This log is going to be used for those expenses paid with cash during that specific month. Do not include credit card expenses or bills in this section. We will get to those later. At the top, please write whatever month it is. For this example, it is the month of May, as well as write cash expenses. So we have May cash expenses at the top. Next, underneath that, write expense description. Across from that, write need. Across from that, write want. And then across from that, write amount. Then list enough numbers to include all cash expenses for that month. It's important to remember that this list will be added to throughout the entire month as items are purchased with cash. Make sure to include enough lines, and it may be a good idea to add more than guessed just to be safe. Be sure to come back to the list and add to it as cash money is spent throughout the month. First, an expense description will be written. Next, there needs to be a selection if the item was a want or a need. And then the amount of the item needs to be written. An example of this would be if someone bought a new pair of roller skates with $40. They would write roller skates under the expense description. Then they would select want and put a check mark underneath it, since this isn't something that they need to survive. Lastly, they would write $40 underneath amount. Please pause the video and create this expense cash log. Now that cash expenses are logged, we will move on to credit card charges. The format of this is similar to the cash expense log, except now we're looking at credit card purchases. At the top, please write whatever month it is. Again, in this example, it's the month of May, as well as write credit card charges. Next, underneath that, write expense description. Across from that, write need. Across from that, write want. And then across from that, write amount. This list will be added to throughout the month as well. When items are purchased with a credit card, it will be added to this list. An example of how to fill this out would be if someone used their credit card to purchase $200 worth of groceries. Under expense description, they would write groceries. Then they would put a check mark under need, since food is something they need to survive. Lastly, they would write $200 under the amount. Remember to come back to this log and add to it throughout the month as credit card charges are made. It is okay to make a guess right now on things that have been purchased with a credit card. Please pause the video and create this credit card charges log. Now we will create one more expense log. This log will be for monthly bills. This is something that should be pretty consistent monthly, although the amount of the expense may vary slightly. For this log, write whatever month it is at the top. In this example, I again used the month of May. And then write monthly bills next to it. So at the top, it says May monthly bills. Next, write bill description. And then next to that, write need. Next to that, write want. And then next to that, write amount. An example of how this log would be filled out is if someone had a monthly electricity bill. Under bill description, they would write electricity. Then they would put a check mark next to need, since this is something that they need to survive. And then they would write whatever the amount of that bill is for the month. For this example, we will say the May monthly electricity bill was $142. Remember that the amounts of bills can vary from month to month, but will be written on the monthly bill statement. Please pause the video and create this monthly bill log. Now we're going to bring together everything from both the income log and all three of those expense logs to create a personal statement of monthly income and spending. Here is the personal statement of income and spending that we will be creating. At the top, write personal statement of income and spending, and then write whatever month it is. Underneath that, write my needs description. Next to that, write amount. Then go back and reference the 3 expense logs previously created from the cash expenses, credit charges, and bills. Make sure to make enough spaces for each of the items that has needs selected from those expense logs. For example, if someone had 8 needs between all 3 of the expense logs, then they would include 8 spaces on their personal statement log under needs. After the numbers are written down, write my total needs with a line next to it for the amount. Repeat this same process for all of the wants expenses listed under those 3 logs. Underneath the wants section, write my total needs plus my total wants, as well as a line next to it for the amount total. Underneath this, write my total income with a space next to this as well. Once this is completed and ready to complete the log, write the description of each need and the amount of it as well. Then, add up all of the amounts and needs and write that number next to my total needs. Do the same for the wants section. Once you've added up the total needs and wants, take both of those totals and write that number next to my total needs and my total wants. Then, take the income log created and write the total income that was calculated from that log. Here is an example using the expenses and income I previously showed. I have both of the needs written as well as the want. I totaled everything up at the bottom and included the monthly income from McDonald's. Please pause the video and create this personal statement. Take a look at what's written under my total needs and my total wants, as well as what's written under my total income from that previous personal statement. Is the amount spent on needs and wants more than the monthly income? If yes, pause the video and discuss with the person helping to see where spending could be cut down, especially for the wants. Are there things that could be lived without? Discuss this prior to moving forward. Now let's bring together everything we've learned to create that budget. Remember, a budget is a plan for saving and for spending. Now we will create a monthly budget. At the top, write my personal budget. Then write the month next to it. Next, write my needs descriptions. And next to that, write planned spending. And then next to that, write actual spending. Then write the same amount of lines under this section as you did from the personal statement section for the needs. Under the numbers, write my total needs and 2 lines next to it for planned spending and actual spending. Repeat these steps for the wants section. Under the 2 sections, write my total needs plus my total wants with 2 lines next to it for planned spending and actual spending. Under this, write total monthly income. To fill this out, you will write all of those wants and needs from the personal statement. Under the planned spending section, write what is planned to be spent on these things for the month. Then, at the end of the month, write what was actually spent for each item. Both the needs and wants should be totaled for both planned and actual spending. don't forget to include the monthly income total at the bottom. Here is an example of the budget for the expenses and income examples I have been using. My planned spending for my needs was less than what actually was spent. Sometimes this may happen, so it's important to always try to keep the total being spent on both needs and wants less than the income. Here my spending is still a lot less than what my income is, which is great. Please pause the video and fill out this budget as much as possible for right now. Remember, many things will need to be added throughout the month. At the end of the month, anyone watching this video will need to look over their total planned spending amount and their total actual spending amount. If expenses are more than income, that's not too good. It means that there's a deficit, or that there's less money being brought in than being spent. If anyone watching ends in a deficit, I'm going to encourage to really look through those wants and needs and see where certain expenses could be cut. If spending was less than what total income was, that's great. That's a surplus, or that there's more money left over after all of the expenses. This allows to create a savings, which we'll talk about next. We're going to create a list of things to save for and ideas of how to do it. First, write things I plan to save for. Include as many numbers as needed. Next, write, what can I do to save money? Again, include as many numbers as needed. Some ideas of things to save for could be a vacation, a new item of clothing, new kitchen appliances, anything that is out of the budget but would like to be purchased someday. Most likely, these things will be wants. Some ideas of ways to save money would be putting loose change into a change jar, contacting employers and asking that they put aside a certain percentage of a paycheck into a savings account each week. Feel free to brainstorm with the person helping. Pause the video and create this list. This brings me to the conclusion of the video. Thanks for watching. I hope anyone who watched gained an educational benefit and learned some new skills on money management and creating a budget. For the occupational therapy practitioners, please remember to take a few minutes and complete the brief survey using the link provided below. Thank you.